All right, welcome back. It is still election day. Anambra decides 2025, and of course, Rapid Television giving you all of the updates, build up, foundation, creating all of the elements that you need to follow up the election so that you will know exactly what to demand for in the event that we begin to experience one or two things at the end of the day. Now, we did tell you that from 10, we'll begin to have our analysts come into the studio, join us on set to talk about and dissect some of the aspects of the election. Now, we did hear from our reporter on the field, Kinsley, talking about how they drove about 2 hours and not one single security operative was seen in a 2-hour drive across several local governments. Now, we know that they say about 55,000 security operatives have been deployed for the Anambra election. And then having 2 hours drive and not seeing anyone, first of all, leaves us to be concerned regarding to how safe the state is right now, or how genuine and how honest was the statement by INEC talking about their being able to handle the security situation. Now, before we delve into all of that, we're going to talk about the elections generally now, before we begin to dissect different aspects and, of course, the candidates that are involved in this election that are going to be voted for to be the governor of the states. And we have some guests here with us. I will start with the closest on my left. We do have Professor Ibrahim. Professor Ibrahim, I wouldn't say it's a regular right here on IPTV, but it's one of our very resourceful persons who always doesn't fail to share his wealth of knowledge with us when it comes to issues of national importance and, of course, security. And right at my far left, I would say have Prince Kevin Fineface, who definitely is here to share his wealth of knowledge and experience regarding to the Anambra election. And of course, the security aspect, I'm sure you want to say one or two things regarding to that. And then we have Victor.
Okay. That introduction.
So I think I would want to start with Prof. Ibrahim. The Anambra election is going on right now. Whereas in some places, based on what we've seen, they started on time, the materials got there, but there's been a low turnout. What is your general assessment, before we begin to dissect the candidate, what is your general assessment of the Anambra election so far?
Oh, well, Anambra, as we know, is a state in Nigeria. And to the goodwill of the people, we have several candidates. But we are missing out one thing. Under security, we have what we call political security. And under political security is the electoral security. So elections are supposed to be under electoral security. Well, this aspect over years has not, nobody has been trained on even political security, not to talk of electoral security. So it's not how many security personnel you deploy for election, but how effective the network is, who are the professionals on electoral security. And it is actually having a very strong effect on our electoral system. The more we address the issues of political security and electoral security, the more we get it right. But since we have not trained anybody or has professionals on that aspect, I think we have significant problems, and the problems are overwhelming on us.
This is where I'll come to you, Prince Kevin.
Yeah.
You just got the thoughts of Prof. Ibrahim. What was your thought when it comes to that aspect?
Well, it's right. When you talked about the political security, in every aspect of our national life, there is a part of security that comes with it. Now, the general overview that the national security of the country is oftentimes broken down to the different areas that where we have involvement. The moment you have human interaction, there's that aspect of security that must come in, to play. But Nigeria, it's one beautiful place where oftentimes things are done mostly on an emergency purpose. We have this election coming in like 4 years ago. So there should have been plans put in place that if they do proper project management principle, what it simply means that from the initiation to execution point, you would have known what things that need to be done. The security agencies saying that okay, they have about 50,000 policemen, officers and men on ground, or the different numbers they give. Those numbers, most cases, are released not because they are truly deployed, but for the purpose of financial benefits. Because I mean, when you talk about 50,000, you know what comes with that. So how many of those 50,000?
55,000.
Okay, how many of those 55,000 have truly been deployed? Effectively so. Like you said, your men were on ground. Maybe they are waiting for the turnout to be able to show up. Maybe. Or maybe
Are they supposed to wait?
No, or maybe they're on their way. Maybe there's some sort of proper logistic to carry them from point A to point B. Maybe. We have to give those maybe scenarios because we have not been told officially why they've not been deployed since 6 a.m. I've been involved in elections, you know, I'm working for the government, and by 6 to 6:30 you're already at a location because you're supposed to be there on ground to assess situation and know where you can. Because I mean, even for those who are going to do security coverage, their lives matter. So they want to be sure. In fact, some of us even go ahead a day before the election day so that we can familiarize ourselves with the terrain and know how to be able to navigate. If there's a need for escape, you want to know how you can escape. So did they do proper route lining? Did they do proper, you know, risk assessments to ensure that should there be any fallout of these elections, that officers and men will be protected and lives of people will be protected as part of our constitutional responsibility by the government. The truth is that most times these things are just done for the show. Psychologically, they give you the numbers, then they show you a bit of combat ready men, then that's it. The belief is that once you see this on TV, by assumption, the people will adjust. But we've also seen most cases, people don't adjust to just paparazzi thing. They tend to challenge them. We've seen cases like that.
Let me come to you, Prof, you know, because you started the conversation talking about the various kinds of security that we have when it comes to election, and you talked about the election policing as it is, election security as it is. Now, we've had you know, election happen here in Nigeria for many years, and many times we've seen personnel being deployed so many times. And you've said that in all of these years, we don't have trained personnel, you know, to man the security of our election. Is that what you're saying so far?
That is exactly what I'm saying, because the political security is a wider area. So when we come to election security or electoral security, you find out that it is a bit for management. In the office in INEC, to my shock and surprise, we have the office of the what we call the SSS or the DSS. But you can ask them, those who are personnel there, whether they are actually trained on electoral security. If we are trained on electoral security, we will not face the difficulties we have been facing all over these years, because there is supposed to be an adjustment, an advisory management board, also administrative and management of these situations. But the schedule is that you are there, crossing your legs, don't know what to do, you don't even have the adequate training, you don't even know the people who are involved in the election, you don't even know how to profile them. Most of the problems we have is even profiling. But then another one is synchronizing the system into an administrative structure, because you are supposed to break them into units. Whichever unit, you know where the volatile areas, you know the more protocol and diplomatic areas, and you follow all of them one by one to where you get the rating to do, and before the election you have known that you have already getting 90 to 95% accuracy, because there is no always 100. So if you have these accuracies, you already know that if a signals come from this area, you have been able to say, no, this area cannot have this done, because we know what could take place here. Right. You understand me? Whether you are going to do a kind of investigation or get some intelligence gathering, you have already on your own knows that this is where I am getting to. What I am just trying to do is just putting one or two together to see that the report I got is exactly what I was expecting to get. And again, you can actually sit down in Abuja with modern systems under political security and knows what is happening in every polling unit without being there.
Using technology as it is.
Yes.
Okay. But
so
have we gotten ourselves to that point here in Nigeria?
Every time we ask whether we have gotten ourselves to a particular situation, we are not talking of how much has the government disbursed to INEC in every election? So if this is what we disburse, have we asked INEC at any point in time whether we have an audited an account or expensive management in their proceedings? No, that is never done. All we expect is that they need more funds. What are these funds for? So we are living in a nation where there is no accountability, no management, no administration. Just do it the way I want you to do it.
Of course, that's a big time challenge, because you stated right here now, this could as well be some of the reasons, based on your submission, that we keep having the pockets of insecurity when it comes to election. Because you said, well, we have security personnel here, but these guys are untrained. They don't have the necessary knowledge, to actually secure, the election units.
Yes, they don't have the knowledge. So if you don't have a knowledge, you understand me, you key in one or two perspective. In security, we have what we call security engineering.
Okay.
So security engineering is another difficult area for Nigeria for now, because we are not using professionals. We are using personnel, and this personnel has a mandate. The mandate is, we are in a nation where we talk of protection, protective security. That is what is called protective security. So if we are a nation of protective security. That is all what they have trained every security personnel on, protective security. So you find out the military are protective security, the police protective security, the undercover police, they are all protective security. So what are you protecting? They don't even know what they are protecting.
Oh, wow.
So when you are speaking on political security, you are speaking like to somebody who has no adequate knowledge of what you are saying. All he has done is maybe has read it in a sentence of books. I can tell you, that when the beavers was introduced, they were having what they call a presentation. Some of the political arms, like the former president, people like Peter Obi, Atiku, and the rest, they were there. They all clamped for the presentation of beavers. But I asked one question, because I was opportune to be there, and I asked one question: what is the effect of beavers, and what are the value chain system, and what is the programming? Peter Obi told me I should sit down. That what they want to know, they have known. But
and you shouldn't know.
No, they can't tell me whether I shouldn't know. I'm not just a security professional. I hate being called a security expert.
Okay.
I'm a security professional. I'm number 4 in the world. Wow. I'm the best in Africa and Asia. So I have every right to advise my country that this direction we are going to is very wrong, because we are supposed to know what security is all about. I am not asking for any political position in Nigeria. Never. I will never take it. Never. Nobody should give me, because I am a world candidate. I'm not a Nigerian candidate. And I don't think Nigeria has sponsored my elevation to where I am. So, but I can only stand in a position to tell the government what is right. Not for anybody to give me any portfolio. I don't need a portfolio.
Now, whose onus is it right now to even train our personnel?
During Jonathan is my friend. And we have been together since 1990, when he was nobody. So I told Jonathan that, Jonathan, please, just give me, let us not just make it into one form. Let's make it an expansive area. Please, even at the worst scenario, give me one person from each state in Nigeria, and I will train them to become professionals.
One person, but civilians?
No, at worst, yes. Okay. At worst, just give me one person from each state. By the time these people are refined, we will have a definite security professionals in Nigeria. And we can take it off from there. Those people can train and retrain other people. So what we see here, will not be able to see it.
Did they oblige you on that request at the time?
No. I even did it in Buhari's time. It was still the same.
It was denied.
No, yeah, because they feel that they are in an office. The National Security Advisor will not accept that. The defense will not accept.
So, but,
even
but,
the defense is
but
saying that.
if you have conversation with the people that actually matter, being that you're a security professional as it is, isn't it even more effective to speak to the NSA rather than speak to the president? If you're saying that these guys are not professionals when it comes to security matters, because you're saying both the DSS, the Nigerian police, the Nigerian army, all of them put together are not professionals.
I'm coming. The NSA is afraid of you thinking that you are coming to take over this office in every minute of the day. I will give you a scenario. When Boko Haram started, that was Jonathan's time. Go and ask in the Ministry of Defense and the Defense Headquarters. I wrote a proposal, and they invited me for a presentation. And from my system, I showed them all the camps of Boko Haram in Borno. And I told them a solution. You don't need to go to Borno. And what happened? A colonel asked me what could be the solution because of the military deployed to that area. I told them if they wear a mask, it will not affect them. They postponed that presentation from Tuesday to Friday. And we came back on Friday. I will tell you here that every member of the set was wearing a mask. And I told them another system that can be used. And they told me I should give them. I said, no, I'm not giving.
So
and I left because I have to go to Kaduna that day.
Prof.
Along the road in Katari, where there was a military checkpoint, they asked to eliminate me. I turned Nigeria, put my car, told my wife to send the driver there. Don't worry.
No, so
that is the kind
Prof,
of system we have here.
Prof, now that you've mentioned this, you've gone deep into the insecurity aspect. It is best to ask your own question. Do you think that on several occasions you've proposed certain things that have not been honored?
Yes.
Right. So are you seeing a deliberate attempt to not solve the insecurity situation in Nigeria?
Yeah, it's a money-making area. Let me tell you the truth. How can I give a budget of about 4 trillion to security when security can generate 150 trillion in Nigeria? Does it make any sense?
You might have to explain that to us.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
No, does it?
So if security is generating 150 trillion, for example, and by the law, it says 70% of that amount remitted to the federal post, 30% remains with those who generated it, meaning that 35 trillion will go to the security body. Are you telling me that if you have an average of 5 million as the bareless or the minimal salary of an officer, where will you see him? You will see him on the road, on the stores, because there are some other benefits that are being done somewhere there that are not done here. So you are looking at that benefit, so you are not just working for working's sake because somebody cannot intrude into your system. Here we intrude into our system.
I think we
are talking of drones now. Did you know what is called drone programming? Did you know the coding? So do you know that the informations, you are buying a drone from me and all your informations of expertise are coming back to me? We were building a presidential villa here, which is the presidential villa today. Yeah. Before anybody who supervised that project has the designs of that presidential villa, I have it. Okay. I already have it in my palm because we allow foreigners. Security equipment manufacturers were the people that installed the equipment.
Our security operators are porous, vulnerable, not secured.
Why is Alaja and Ajakuta not working? That is what we call industrial espionage.
Let's not move too far. Yeah. But before I move to Prince Kevin, I am really concerned about something you said, Prof, when you were talking about after the meeting you had and you proposed a mask. And soon after, these guys were on a mask. It some part of me is trying to decode that. Is it that an information was passed because this was an idea that you proposed? So some persons have said that informations are being leaked when it comes to the security circle. Does this solidify that speculation?
When you are a colonel and your salary is just about 300,000 or so, and somebody is ready to give you 100 million, what will you do?
Okay.
No, that is, even if you are retired today, you are not getting even near 100 million, but somebody is ready to give you 100 million. And you have family and people to take care of. What do? You compromise.
So our security agencies are compromised.
They are compromised.
From the DSS to the NSA to the Nigerian Army?
Every of them are compromised.
Okay.
All right.
I think.
So if you asked how much is the take home of the NSA, does it go home with 5 million, 10 million, 20 million? Does it go home with less than 2 or 3 million? These are the questions you have to ask yourself. My friend came from, my primary school mate came from Kano and said he wants to see a friend of his who is a minister. And the minister gave him 250,000 naira as a gift.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
he was like telling me, why should he give me 250,000? I said, do you know that this man don't earn up to more than 1.5 or 2 million naira
On a monthly
Okay,
basis.
I-
on a monthly basis, and he gave you 250, means that he loves you so much.
Prof, I think at this point we're going to cut this. There's a whole lot to unpack here.
Sure.
Trust me, there is a whole lot to unpack here. But let us not go too far away from the fact that we're discussing Anambra elections. And yes, there are some security discrepancies when it comes to the outcome of everything. Which one thing is static. Both of you have identified the security challenges. Now, there have been some statements saying that if there is too much security, it might, scare the people from coming out to vote. Prince Kevin, does that make sense to you?
Of course, it makes sense. Over-securitization oftentimes creates fear, especially when most of our officers and men do not necessarily observe what we call the NSP, normal safety precautions. They use arms just anyhow. I mean, you hardly have been given crowd control weapons. You see live ammunition being used to repel the crowd when it's not necessarily, violent crowds. We've seen cases where, as a result of checkpoints situations, the bullet is released,
Yeah.
on innocent citizens. So when you have over security presence, it will surely make people to believe that something might go wrong, and nobody wants to go get hurt, especially when the judicial system will not also give you any form of succor. So people want to avoid it. That is why I will agree with him in terms of our risk analysis resulting to these elections. There should have been an adequate risk analysis being done. As an enterprise, risk assessor, oftentimes we see as a nation we truly do not do things as expected, because from the British influence, we oftentimes believe in the psychological security most oftentimes, which is what you actually call the entire gamut of the security network is more like a protective security architecture. But there's some areas that I kind of want to disagree with what they said earlier, which is the fact that anybody who is trained, with a basic security training, understands how to deploy, certain needs assessments. But when it comes to specifics, yes, of course, there are certain dynamics as it regards to elections as regards to policies related to elections, there are certain dynamics we must consider. There are those who truly attempt to be politically exposed persons, occupying key positions. They have a different type of security provisions. The vehicular security, which covers logistics, all of those things comes to play. No security personnel truly goes to the field like a Dundee. No. Yes, because it's a command and control responsibility. You find out that sometimes they want to wait for the Oga to give instruction. And also the fact that Nigeria is like a cobweb country. Majority of us who have been in this industry understand that the Commissioner of Police responds to the President's call, not the Governor's call, which means the IG can dictate how things go. We just saw what happened in Anambra. There's a new Commissioner of Police that is there, you know, as for the election. So what happens after the election? Now, because he's there, every political interest will want to focus on him, and they can be easily compromised. Now, if you can see it from the point of, this is my own time also, to grab what you can grab. Where there is absence of job security, the place of compromise is inevitable. That I agreed. So when you have more security personnel occupying, in the first place, do we need all of that? If we're doing the right things that need to be done, if the people are well educated to understand the importance of the voter's card, if the political parties adhere to the rules of the game, we do not need over-securitization of our elections. We don't need that. I mean, how many places you go to advanced countries, how many security personnel do you see waiting to want to undermine or to try to show that there's presence? You don't see that. It is because the political parties themselves are very responsible. They are the ones who champion ballot snatching. They are the ones who do all the rigging. They do not have security agents that they compromise to hate them. We saw in the last elections where police officers and men were helping to rig the elections, carrying people, the coppers and all of those things. That shouldn't be. It is because of the absence of job security. I like to look at root causes of situations to addressing them. I'm not just with addressing some things. What Prof said, fantastic presentation. But again, we also need to be careful on certain speculations and how we put our things, because, I mean, it's a public debate. So if we say certain things, we'll be called upon to come and defend these things we're going to be saying, right? And it's important that when we want to call out people, we call them out completely. I strongly believe in that so well. You call them out, you call them completely. I don't want to leave things under any window of this in coverage. No, I call them out completely. This country can do better than we're doing today. Insecurity today is a type of warmongering mechanism. People are making money so well and it cannot stop. Boko Haram is not just something that just started happening the way it's happening. If there are no benefits, it wouldn't have been sustained to this very moment. That's why you now have splinter groups, because they also want to collect from the bounties that's going on. I saw the other day on screen where custom officers said they have to give bag of rice to bandits who kidnap their men to release them, you know. And so it's interesting to hear such kind of things. With technology, America today said they want to come in and bomb or deal with these guys because they know.
Invade.
With technology, see, there's what they call carbon tracing. With technology, you can actually tell where people are, even in the thick of the thickest bush, because of carbon tracing. You get, we can all know all this. So, Anambra election, it's something that shouldn't have too much of security presence. But again, we also look at the terrain. We look at the unknown government thing. We look at the IPOB and the other ECN, ESN rather, thing that's ongoing there. So there's a need for presence. But presence
this is also a state that has suffered insecurity even.
That's what I said. Yes, so
yes.
There's a need for presence, but presence must be well calculated and articulated and properly deployed. You don't just send men, officers and men who are not fully armed in certain areas that requires arms. And you don't send men to where they don't need arms and send them, and so they use the weapon to begin to threaten people. There should be invisibility of security men, but effective. So people can comfortably walk out to come and vote, knowing that if they come and vote, they will not come and kill them or beat them. Because there are those who want to go and vote, and you know, the political parties have some people waiting to ensure that they only get the vote that is there for them, and they can threaten others. So security presence is required in order to contain that threat. But it's doing so it should not also affect the need for people to cast their votes, you know, with
Kevin,
ease.
Prince
Yes.
Kevin, while I agree with you with for the fact that we don't really need heavy security presence in terms of, I mean, this.
If we have done, yeah,
if everything is done in a proper way as it should be, but don't you think that if we are going to be promised a certain level of security presence, then they can as well just meet up to what they promised? Because I mean, because right now we are sitting down here and we're judging them based off of what you said. Because if you say you have 55,000 security personnel and the state doesn't look like it.
The thing is that saying they have 55,000 security personnel on ground, right? It's what is the geography of Anambra? They spread.
Local government.
Now, so how many polling units are we looking at? Number one.
5,000 plus.
5,000 polling. So it's divided by 55. How many will you have per polling units? It's that simple maths. So if you do that, now you realize how many you should have per polling units. So if people are driving through the road and they don't see men, they could be in the polling units and not on the road.
Well, our correspondent was also in a polling unit.
And there was none.
And there was none.
There was none. So let's look at it. It's simple. We can look at it. 55 divided by 5,000.
It's 11.
You know?
That's
so
11.
So you have 11.
So not even 11
it's
was saying.
It's not enough. Is that what we're saying?
No, it's not like it's not enough. It is that, you know, yeah, it's that one, did they truly did a proper risk analysis assessment to be sure that they truly need 11 per polling units? And why they don't need the 11 per polling unit? Were they truly deployed? How many of those 11 are going to be harmed as a way to help in case of when they have superior, you know, external aggressors, you know? And if you say 11 per polling unit, would it affect the number of persons per polling unit? How many persons do registered voters do have per polling unit? Because some polling you don't have up to 100 people.
Right.
So why will you have 11 people there to protect 100 people? What is the risk? What is the risk element there that you have there? You're providing such mitigation. So you see, those are factors I am concerned about. And like I said earlier, those numbers can be given for the purpose of budgeting. So that when the money goes into their hands, you check how much each person that is deployed receives.
Let's come back. Let's step away from the security aspect. Let's talk about the election itself, the process, talking about the candidates, talking about who is going to govern the state for the next 4 years. Now, some persons have said a lot of things regarding to Charles Soludo. And even right here this morning, we did try to analyze some of the achievements of Soludo. Do you think that the people are going to find him worthy enough? Like what our reporter says, we've seen people lose even in their polling units. So because where we were at first, it was Ukachukwu's polling unit where there was no much turnout. So we just hope that he doesn't lose there. But let's talk about the governor himself, who is looking to come back the second time. Do you think that he has done enough in his state to warrant his people to say, okay, Mr. Man, I think that you've done well, or we want to test another person, as the case might be?
Is that for me?
Yes. Please.
Oh, okay. I should say, I would have said Soludo is a friend, but I can't say that. You know, I can't say that because for close to 15 to 17 years, we haven't spoken. I've seen it, the last time I saw him that many years ago. So we just waited. So now he's a fantastic, fine man who truly understands the economics of a nation, right? And it was expected that he would have done better than he's done so far. For me, my own assessment. Looking at somebody that I sat with to discuss about national interests and having the opportunity to govern a state and not living up to that expectation in that microcosm of his space, I was expecting to see some changes. But I also look at the terrain, the state with which he governs, which is, you know, one very peculiar state, a state of bigwigs, you know, money bags everywhere. And so there's a tendency for internal sabotage to take place to undermine efforts that they might likely put in. But when I listen to some of the things he says online, you know, I read some of his statements or watch some of his, you know, campaign, you know, speeches, I'm not impressed. Now, it is now left for the people of Anambra, the Anambrarians, you know, Amambala people, to to decide. But again, do we see the level of voter apathy we're experiencing? You know, the democracy is one very interesting thing. As much as there's an election, if 10 people came out to vote, instead of 1 million, the 10 people decide the fate of
The 1 million.
the rest of the other people that are supposed to come out to vote. It's that simple. So if
Isn't that going to give rise to malpractices?
well, it might not necessarily give rise to malpractices. It simply means that, except of course, if the politicians are daft to know that your turnout, because currently, you know, for every election now, you must accredit. Your accreditation is showing 10, your result is showing 100. That like we saw what happened with the APC in the last election and all of that. Some of the polling units, they were having inflated beyond the accredited voters. Now, if that is what they are doing, then of course that shows how, you know, unwise they are. But they will now know that this is what it's supposed to be. But here's the thing, it actually shows the illegitimacy of a government, that you don't have the people's support. So you cannot really govern them as expected. Now, what I think we should, the media in quotes and others need to be doing now, is for us to see how we can use Anambra as a test case and ensure that the electorate understand the importance of the voter's card. The people haven't come to the consciousness to know that the voter's card is the most powerful tool in a democracy. It is the only tool that legitimizes the office and the occupier of that office. Because without the voter's card, nobody can cast any vote to elect anybody. It's the only tool that legitimizes that office and the occupier of that office. So if the electorate understand this importance, it means that they do not need to be encouraged to come out to vote any longer. Rather, you will now see new social contracts with politicians who are vying for political offices. Then they will now go out to want to go and cast their vote. It will now be battle of choices of the different electorates to want to see that their own candidate that has shown that their manifesto meets their interest to want to cast their vote. So that's what we expect to happen. But now see, Soludo is doing better. The other, unfortunately also, we don't even have much about the other candidates. It's just scanty reports about them. You mentioned Okachuku, fantastic young man.
Mongalu.
I know. Now,
Shoma.
Mongalu is somebody that I was hoping that, yes, named the which is the APC, right?
Yeah.
You know, that
Labour Party.
Sorry, Labour Party. Sorry, Labour Party. You know, I was expecting that, okay, we'll be able to push forward to do this. So what are the narratives he has for the Anambra people? What difference is it going to make? What, you know, I expected that today, with what P2B left behind, following Obiano's infrastructural development, I was expecting that Soludo would have actually taken Anambra further than what he has done in 4 years.
Let me pick up from there.
You know, so that's what I expect.
And then throw it to Prof. You know, because many times when we access or even rate the performance of governors, you know, we rate them majorly from the place of infrastructure as it is. But is that the only yardstick that we should be rating, you know, or governors or even people in government offices, you know, as per their performance level, and then we'll base their scorecard based on infrastructural development?
Oh well, infrastructural development, no, because in security we have what we call the citizen and human security, which is the first principles of security. Then we have business and economic security. Political security comes because you have to manage the human resource and the economy of a state. So let's put it a state now. So if you can't do that, any other thing you are going to build on is a no platform.
So the foundation is security.
Yeah, the foundation is security, and going back to human, the citizens, and business and economic. When the economy is bosom, I wouldn't have any need to come to Abuja or pursue anything within Abuja. The poorest state in Nigeria can generate $200 billion US.
That's the poorest state.
Yes.
Wow.
So if things be equal, but we have to start from somewhere.
Yeah.
We are not starting from anywhere. I see it that why should the federal government actually be giving funds to the states when the states can generate
We're
enough?
operating a unitary system of government.
You understand me?
Yeah.
So we are going where we are not. But then let's come to the election right now. All these things you have analyzed is two things. Even our police are not trained. The whole security sectors are not trained on crowd management. So if they are trained on crowd management, most of the protests that goes to killings, manning and others will not go there. But they are not trained on cloud management. That is one aspect.
No, it's not a problem. You would say they are not trained.
They are not trained. I can tell you they are not
most
trained.
cases, they kind of had some kind of shortfalls.
No.
Because I've been part of a training, that was conducted for crowd management.
Yes.
Now, they might not have done it in a widespread form. And also, they probably had trained those. Let me give an instance. There was a training we conducted. Some of those who came for the training were those who were secretarial staff that do not have need for those kind of training, but they came for the training because of the money that comes with the training. Okay. It's Nigeria. That's part of the problem. People are trained and are not deployed for the purpose for which they are trained for, because of this chronism and nepotism thing. So that's part of the problem.
So that training was supposed to be specific to security personnel.
So there, no, for security. I mean, they are security personnel. I'm talking about officers and men who came for the training.
Yes.
Were not meant for that training because there are people who are meant for the field.
So they misplaced the priority.
So it's more like a mistake because of the benefit that comes to the training. So some cases we have things like that. Somebody is trained for community policing, and guess what? Is back in the office as an administrative,
which brings us back to a foundational
staff.
problem.
So if you talk, if we are talking of neighborhood policing, if we are talking of community policing, are we supposed to start from community policing? Can somebody who have not gone to primary school go to the university?
So which of them is university? Community policing or?
Community policing is an university, because we are supposed to start with grassroots policing, then come to neighborhood policing before we go to community policing. Okay. Because from community policing, you are going to state policing, then national policing, then global policing, then policing the police. That is the network of policing.
So that's a structure per se. But let's talk
about.
So
why should you start with community policing, which is a larger version of the policing network? That is where we are getting it wrong.
Now,
let's calm down. The problem here is very simple. We don't have political parties. We have political platforms. So if I go to my state now and I said I have 5 trillion and I want to become the governor, they give me the ticket. Because the parties, yes, that is the platform for the party. So they don't know where I'm coming from. I did not start from anywhere. I was not rubbing minds with the world, not with the local government executives, not with the zonal or district executives. I'm only coming back from the federal high might, telling them that I'm a big bag and I can do it because I have the finances. So how did you call such person to order? You can't.
Let's talk about some of the borders when it comes.
So when we don't have a party, we have a platform. So till we have a party, we are not.
How do we make it? How do we make it a party now that we're making
party
it?
Is where
it's a platform.
Yeah, it's a platform where a party is where like minds comes together, contribute towards it. So every month, if you ask all the APC, PDP, and the rest members who are card-carrying members, none of them has dropped 100 naira in that party as their contribution.
Probably you can't say that none of them. Some.
Those are the big ones.
You can't generalize. You can't generalize. That's what I said.
So how many percentage of them?
No, but you can't generalize. So when he says none of them, you can say some or most. If you use such, adjective,
in a particular flame of work, when you go into depth of analysis, the moment 95% are not contributing to a system, or 90% are not contributing to a system, the system is automatically none.
Okay.
That is where I lay my my claim on the system. 90% are not contributing to a system means that nobody is contributing to that system.
But again, do you have the data to say that 90% of these persons are not contributing to that?
Yes.
You have a data to that?
Yes.
Okay, we'll come to that. But let's talk about the security in Anambra State as it is again, just to conclude basically. Now, over 50,000 persons deployed. You've talked about the fact that these guys are not professionals as it is, but untrained personnel sent down to Anambra State as it is. But let's look at the borders. Imo State, Delta State, these are some of the borders these are some of the states that Anambra State shares border with. But we have 55,000 personnel deployed there. What happens within Delta State? Isn't there a possibility that some criminal elements can as well come in from some of this border and also infiltrate the community if the security personnel are not very much active there in Anambra State?
What is border control and border management? What is the use of border control and border management if people can intrude in? Remember that there is no movement restriction is there in Anambra. So will you say that with the movement restriction, the security network has supposed to be working for the past 3 weeks or 1 month on movement of people, goods and services? The logistics and everything supposed to be on a close watch for the past 1 month, taking indices, restraining indices, building data, and having adequate risk index on what they will encounter within that period. Do we do that?
Do we?
Yes.
Okay, I think
I think we need to get one of these agencies representatives to come and tell us if they did or they did not do that.
Most definitely. most definitely.
I'm sure. Or you guys need to do your interview to get that information.
Yes, as the broadcast continues, most definitely we're going to be connecting with a whole lot of persons to get more information as to what is happening in Anambra State, and of course answer some of the questions that you've raised. Before we wrap up to run out of here, I'm going to first of all ask Prince Kevin and then Prof, just in 1 minute, so we can run out of here for this time. What is the possible outcome, the likely outcome that you're looking at? Because this election means so much to Amupiton. It means so much to him. This is going to be some have described it as a deciding factor of what 2027 is going to look like. And so if this fails, it therefore means that we have an idea of what's going to happen in 2027. And so you're going to speak for me from that perspective, what this election means to the INEC man, and also what is the possible outcome that you envisage is going to happen by the end of the day.
Well, I would say it means so much to Amipiton. It means so much to Nigeria as a whole. Amipiton is only but a servant, being used for the purpose of,
a servant on a hot seat.
Yeah, so it's a test case for him, but since INEC is an institution on its own, there's likely the structure that's been set up. I know this election has been planned before he came into the office, so there's a possibility that there may not be much changes. Logistic arrangement will be as expected. His own is to give oversight functions, show the leadership to ensure what needs to be released is released, who needs to be deployed is deployed as expected. Now, I got the point you're trying to make as what it means so much for Amipiton. Will it be seen as being partisan? Because if APC appointed him, will he be supporting APC? Yeah, even though APC do not have the right candidate in quotes, or maybe what will it do to favor the party that appointed him? That's where I have a problem. I have a problem for the president appointing the chairman. It's like being in a competition and being a referee and appointing a referee for your competition. Now, that said, outcomes, if there is so much vote in our party, I'm not going to be surprised of any outcome that pops up. The governor might just take a landslide. Right. But even if it did not do well, or even if it does well, once there's vote in our party, that's what you expect. If the governor had been able to get the president to himself as a friend, there's also the possibility that every organ of government, especially as relates to the election, will be towards that place. Because see, Nigeria operates a type of monarchical system of governance.
How is the friendship going to happen when, of course, there's already a candidate for this other party?
You have not seen, you've seen how he has been upnubbing with the president and giving praises to the president in the media. So that gives you an idea of outcome. And you know, there's what I call, oftentimes want to describe on air, that I call the Alabo Bem, the king said. When you see the courtier goes close to the king's ear and says nothing but have pictures taken, he's basically telling all the people to watch that he has close relationship with him. So anybody that sees him knows that he's a king's friend. So all organs of government will look at the governor as a king's friend and want to pander, compromise one way or the other. That is certain. And so for what we look at is that what I expect is that those elements, criminal elements, who oftentimes constitute such level of nuisances in those areas, we at least shift the sword and allow for this election to go, for people to go cast their vote. I also want to believe that political parties will be sane enough to be civil, to understand that they do not need to force people to vote for them or stop people from voting with their choices.
No, right.
Now, when there's poverty in a society, there's a challenge with that, which means people will only go out to vote for the purpose of financial benefits, and then you do not have elections, you just have a selection process.
Right,
Okay, 1 minute, Prof, so we can wrap up this segment. 1 minute, what is your possible outcome for this election?
Well, anybody can be the governor of Anambra State as far as I'm concerned. The issue is that we don't have a party, we have a platform, so whichever platform it favors.
Okay.
So be it.
Thank you.
All right. All right, thank you so much. I want to say a very big thank you to Prof. Ibrahim here, and of course Prince Kevin Pipers for finding time to come through. I know we're going to have you later on in the evening to give us more analysis after, like we always say in our local way, after everything don't marinate, you know, we'll come back in the evening and then, you know, try to dissect some angles to this. This is what we're going to be doing and what we have been doing since 7 up until now, and of course we'll be here till the day runs out to give you more updates. Don't go anywhere. It's still the Anambra Decide 2025 election broadcast. Don't forget that you can share the link all across. We are streaming live on YouTube as well and on our website as well, as we'll also be getting an update from our team on ground to give us live updates of how the election is going and who is voting in their, you know, different polling units. We're going to have our next guest come through, but until then, we're going on a very short break. Don't go anywhere.